Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSIDFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Mega31. Just a reminder that the time changes tomorrow, so depending on when you watch this video, just make sure you've changed your clocks and you are, unless you're in like Arizona or Hawaii, where they don't, or outside the United States where it doesn't matter, just make sure that you've changed your clock and everything's all set with that. So an hour less sleep, an hour less to build our lineup. So let's get going on this one. So we have Phoenix Raceway. We finally, after having two super speedways and a road race to open, have an intermediate track. It's not like your classic intermediate, which a lot of them are like 1.5 miles. It's a 1 mile track, fairly wide. You can get three, four wide sometimes. Um, Coming into the turn, they're trying to get them not to cheat and go too far below the yellow line. Just started like warning some drivers on on that. But there's obviously like the preferred groove is close down like to yellow, but there's a medium groove, and if you can make it work, there's an upper groove. Saw plenty of passes in the Xfinity race on the outside, so it wasn't necessarily um, one of those races where track position was horrible, especially like when they start with a restart, they like all fan out and there's like eight wide, maybe not that much, but it's pretty crazy how much the field can fan out and try to dive bomb into like turn one and two there. So an additional wrinkle that they're throwing at us this week is that NASCAR's bringing back the option tire. So basically, the option tire is a softer tire, which would wear out faster. But if you're behind, it's going to help you make up ground really fast. So they're getting two sets of those, I believe, six sets of the regular harder tire. So if you look at the practice data, it's screwy. And as I go through the drivers, and I'll talk about that too. So I threw it up there, just take it with a grain of salt, because some of them like went out there with the green track, some of them went out there and ran laps, and then they're switching up the tires. Some of them went out there and were running hot laps in anticipation of qualifying. So the practice speeds are definitely inflated, and some of them were preferred to be set up for long run speeds. So we'll talk about it as we go driver for driver, but it's going to be an interesting strategy. So what do you do if you're in the back of the field and you want to make up like ground early on? Why not throw on your first set of option tire? Are other people going to run on the harder tire and then throw the option tires on at the end? Or are you going to save one if you get like caught speeding on pit road and have to go to the back of the lead lap and then you have to make up ground? You're going to throw the option tire on that. So it opens up the door to a billion different combinations, maybe not a billion, but a lot of different combinations of what you can do here to and kudos to NASCAR and Goodyear for like doing this to make this interesting. So this is also the race where they determine the championship at the end of the season. So they just raced here the last race back in November. I know it's a little bit different. That time of year, it's a different feel, it's a different type of race because you have like the professional courtesy and it's the end of the season and some of the everybody's still in it for the title right now and only four people in it. Some of them are just going through the motions. Some are thinking about, what they're doing in the off season. Some of them don't have rides the next year. Some of them are changing ride. It's like all different things are going on that at race and make it a little bit goofy more than this one. So this should be fun. Xfinity race was fun. I feel bad for Allgaier. He had such a dominant car there. Was just cutting through the field like butter. And keep your eye on. I know this is a tough video, but William Swalage. I was very impressed with him. Had to change a water pump. Had to start at the back of the field, and he was like cutting through the field like they were nothing. So I think he's got a lot of potential. He might be a little sleeper there. We have to watch him. We'll talk about more in videos if he ever comes up and gets a couple of cup opportunities too. If he continues to drive as well as he has to start the season in Xfinity, he might be one to watch for the future. So keep your eye on that. But so how do we want to approach this? Like we're gonna need dominators again because you have a race where you're going to probably have, I would say, at least two dominators. If you have one and you absolutely need to to nail it, because if you don't, then it's gonna they're gonna have so many points that so you're looking at 312 laps here, so that's a lot of it's it's not like 400 500 laps, but still 300 laps is a lot of dominator points um there. So you want to make sure that we figure out who potentially could be the two dom, maybe a three dom build, and then look for place differential. But the problem is there's a lot of cards that kind of screwed up in qualifying, and there's a lot of expensive drivers that do very, very well here. So you're going to have to pick and choose. Like, how do you want to go kind of stars and scrubs and load up on those expensive? Like, you have five drivers over 10K, and even with Denny Hamlin in the mix there, you have like so six drivers that are 97 or above. So you're gonna have to play some cheaper drivers, and some of the cheaper drivers are not going to work out very well. So again, let's get into the breakdown. Enough little introduction stuff. So Byron has the pole. He's been doing really well. Obviously, won Daytona. Great start to the season, and it looks pretty good here. So definitely, either he or Logano are going to get out there first and dominate this race. I don't think Hocevar or Barry, they did well qualifying, but I just don't think overall they have the speed to go out there. And maybe Barry does. So I think you have to choose between Byron and Logano. On FanDuel, you probably want to go both of them, um, because you're looking for more finishing position up there than worry about like place differential or losing place differential. So I think you need to choose here. Personally, and it's probably gonna be against the grain. As you can see, like Byron is predicted for high ownership, I think, and Logano medium is Penske has absolutely dominated on this track. So it's something to keep in mind. And I know it's been more like towards the end of the season for the championship, but they've been very, very good here. Obviously, Logano won here in won the championship back in Blaney finished second. They just Penske cars run really, really well here. Cinder finished 13th, but still, I just think that they've got to figure it out. They know this track, they know the setup, they know what they need to be successful here. I know they have been more successful in the fall race, but I still think that they will force to be reckoned with here. So Logano, I'm going to lean with probably over Byron, but I think it's very, very close here. So here's what I did in Xfinity today, because again, you had a lot of 10K drivers. You had three of them that you really want to try to get in your lineup. And that was Byron and not Byron, it was Bowman was up there, Allgaier, and Eric Almirola, and all of them did well. All of them led at and finished in the top five, and had dominator points. And if you went stars and scrubs, you did well. But I think like it was like 59 people tied for the duplicate lineup at the top of or maybe it was even more of that and some other GPPs. So that like everybody thought they were the smartest person in the room trying to get those three drivers in and put the three value guys that would fit with them to make it work, and it did work, and they did have a takedown, but they're all similar lineups. So here, if you want to do it, there's probably the value there. But what I did, because I didn't like how the bottom of my lineups were, and it worked out. I paid $50. I played $50. I think I won 109. So like every single slate has been profitable. It's been a great start to NASCAR year, almost a surreal start with like how well we've been doing here. So so what I did was like I really didn't like the build. Like I threw one in a GPP and it did okay, but I did a build with with my prime, and then I and Allgaier was one of the primes. So then I built one with an with Almirola, and I built one with a Bowen, and it worked out. They both cashed, and both hit in multipliers, and both hit in GPP. So it worked out. Like there was no wrong answer there. Obviously, the optimal was playing all three of them. I didn't think that was going to happen. So, but I was happy with the outcome that I had. So, long story short, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to split my cash. I'm going to have a Byron line, and I'm going to have a Logano line, and they're $200 apart. And that's then I'm going to throw in the primes and find what other two drivers work, and that's where I'm going to start. Hocevar, Barry Jones, I just don't think can hang up there, so they're going to be fade for me. Elliott and McDowell are interesting. I think, McDowell had like second fastest in practice, but again, I think he was on, they were just setting up their cars. All Spire cars were just setting up to run practice for like qualifying. But I just don't know if they're going to have like the long run speed or just have like that much overall speed. And they could be messing with the option tire also. But, Elliott could do well here. The numbers look good. He's coming up with, a healthy projection. So, and I think he's going to have medium ownership, and he could be a dark horse here to be. So, if you're playing GPPs, then with Byron and Logano, if you're trying to rotate in a second dominator, um, I think he's definitely one to potentially consider outside of these in a GPP. McDowell, I think, is okay also. Haley, again, same thing. Spire, I think they just want like hot laps to qualify well, but I think they're set up for like qualifying and not race trim. So they just really concern me. Reddick, really like him as a dominator here, and especially because like I've always liked Reddick, where you can pass on the outside. He really runs the wall, so just got to make sure that you don't clip where like the wall sticks out. Austin Hill did that today and racked it, but it was an inside wall. But you can do that sometimes, and these tracks if you get too close to the outside wall. So you always run the danger of Reddick doing that. This track is not as forgiving as like Darlington, where you just get a cute little stripe on your car and you just keep on going, and it's like folklore history. It's he'll be okay. Like I think you can still play him in cash also, but I really think that he would be in my dominator group, especially in GPPs. Denny Hamlin, I have his cash play here. I think you consider him as a dominator too. He's been really well, but I really wanted to consider him more as a cash play and as kind of a savings off of some of these other dominators. And he could help you have more of a balanced build than if you're trying to jam in a bunch of the like 10K guys. It just gives you a little bit more salary. And on the back end, when you're trying to figure out your other three drivers, it might be the difference of having to play like um let me look and see who looks favorable down here. Well, it could be the difference between playing like Ty Dillon and like John Hunter Nemechek, who we'll get to at the end, who I think is going to be a decent value play for you. So Hamlin, yeah, definitely in play here. It's just hard because like there's so many people like right in this range here at Hamlin, Bell, and Blaney, which all have done really well on short flat tracks. Blaney, like I said, finished second here. Uh, with Logano, the Penske cars have it figured out, and that's why I have him as the prime. I think a lot of people have Bell as a prime play also. Again, there's $200 difference here, so maybe you build your lines and it's like a four combination here. Like I'm not splitting my cash four ways, even though I thought about it, but the combination of Byron, Hamlin in one lineup, Byron Bell in one lineup, Logano Bell in one lineup, Logano Blaney. So just like out of these four drivers, have the four combinations of each one with each one. So I think it's really close there, but I think that this is your lifeline here is like these two and these two is like where you really want to start with like your two dominators. Again, I'm going with Penske cars, but I'll probably have like Byron. Maybe I'll go with the Byron Bell lineup as my other cash one, and then I'll go Logano and Blaney as the primary one. But I still like Hamlin. I still like some exposure to Reddick. I'm okay like fading this area here. Like maybe I'll have a little bit of share of Elliott, but yeah, I think the cutoff's right there. So then we go down Chris Buescher. The RFK cars have looked good. He and Kozlowski, I think, have some definite upside here. So, um, and we know Bush's good at tire wear tracks. This isn't really a tire wear track, but it does come into play with like the different types of tires. So if you can go out there on the option tire and actually like save it and not like, just completely use it as like a quick boost to get a little bit of track position, like if he can like nurse it and get the most out of it, I think that's something that isn't a part of his skill set. Then I've seen him drive really well at the old California track that the like Auto Club and at Homestead and even old Atlanta. So I think that he definitely has potential here as a cash play. Austin Cindric is going to be the first 100K driver of the drivers that you play as YOLO in the top GVP. Remember, you don't want to go like all crazy, so just play the 300K guys and then mix in cash and prime plays to give you some floor with it also, because you're never going to win if you're just playing all upside plays. You're going to need to have some balance if you want to take that down. But I don't think Cindric's going to have a lot of ownership. They're going to look at him as like the other Penske car and just see what Logano and Blaney have done and just see he's like, 10 places behind. But again, I think that he's got the upside to get into, especially with all these ones that I think are going to fade back. I think he's got potential to get up there. And I think he's got some of the same information that Blaney and Logano have to be able to go out there and be successful. So I really like him in the top GPP. Kyle Busch looked good last week, and again, I think there's still literally some tread on the tires. I think that last year was an anomaly without getting a win. I think he'll get at least a win this year. I don't. I think the years of like Busch like winning multiple races is over. I think the him being a threat to win the title is not going to be there, but I do think he's going to be competitive in various races. I like him in this one. I don't love him, so that's why he's GPP. AJ Allmendinger should be okay in this one. I really didn't like how the speed in practice. Really wasn't super impressed. I thought about putting a fade here, but I think he's fine in a GPP just because on these shorter tracks where they get into the corner pretty fast and braking is pretty key. Road course drivers tend to do a little bit better, so I give him a kind of an advantage there. So, but still a GPP. You can't play him in cash. Larson, I could play in cash, but again, it's going to be hard. I love the place differential here. Could he get up there and be a dominator potentially? Yes, I think the door is open for that. It's entirely possible that that could happen. He's run well at Phoenix previously. Obviously, he won a title. And he finished fourth there. He started fourth last year and he finished fourth. And, he led 13 laps. So I think he's definitely one to consider. Um, yeah, I kind of skipped over here, like with Bell and Blaney. I should tell you that Bell led 143 laps and looked really, really good. And even in the spring race, he led laps and looked really, really good here too. So that's why, if you want to make him the prime play, I get it. I really just feel strongly for the Penske cars, but I have no problem if you want to change the prime and go with Bell here, especially like with I just and he's won the last two races. I just can't conceive that he's going to win three in a row. Like he's good and but he's not like Richard Petty. He's not Dale Earnhardt. He's not Jimmy Johnson. I just don't. And we've seen like Austin Hill. We've seen like people come out like hot from the gate and like win a bunch of races in a row to start the season, and then all of a sudden like things just start to like fall apart. Like I don't know what happens, but I've never seen anybody like just be an alpha and just can go out there and just continue to like win and win and win, and especially in this next generation car. So that's what kind of makes me, if I'm splitting hairs here, that's the way the hair splits, and makes me lean a little bit more on Blaney there. So, but Larson again, I think is another one that has got good pedigree on this track. Hurts starting out pretty good here in his rookie year. So I think that he's one that's going to be GPP. 5,900 is not a bad price. So if he can stay in the top 20 or close to it, then I think he can definitely pay that off. But I don't feel like I can play him in cash. Bubba Wallace has always run really well on this track. Also, he started 29th and finished seventh here in the fall race. And and I just think that he's not going to have the ownership. He looked pretty good in his practice numbers. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but I think his were more authentic. So he's going to be my second 10K driver that I'm going to put in my main GPP lineup. Kozlowski, like I said, just like Busher, is pretty good here, pretty good on tire wear tracks, and they look like they had some pretty good practice. I think that he can get up in the top 15s, maybe sniff the top 10. Not the best start to the season so far, but I think that he definitely has some upside. Busher finished ninth after starting 24th, just for some perspective, and Kozlowski was. Am I not finding him? He was in a Ford last year. I know that. Should be easy to find the blue. Okay, he started 27th and finished 15th, so not bad, not bad at all. So definitely has starting 20th here. So he got what 12 place differential points. So I don't think, yeah, no, eighth, yeah, that's obtainable for him. So definitely cash play for Austin Dillon. GPP, like he's run well on short flats. He just hasn't consistently put anything together. He's starting a little bit far forward for me. So Stenhouse, I was thinking about putting in a fade. He's not good at short flats. Do you think he qualified a little bit too far forward here? But at 52, like if he's the last man in your lineup, I'm okay with that. Cole Custer. Uh Again, this team is relatively new. They've been around for years, but like with Stewart Haas Racing, and now it's just Haas. So I think he's got the resources and the personnel and everything. Just taking the breadcrumbs of the Stewart Haas program and just the best of the best, and kind of Frankenstein together this new team. And Custer, I think, did really well in Xfinity, and I think this is a great opportunity for him to come back into Cup. But I think the jury's still out, so GPP here for me. Ross Chastain, I think, is going to be very popular here. And again, I thought about making him one of the prime plays, but I really wanted to give you a little bit more value on him. Um, and I'm saving like $1,000 by going Bowman as the prime over Ross. But if you have it, like I don't mind if you can get him in your cash lineup. And I think you have the chalk next to him because I think he's going to be very, very popular. Um, and we'll see what happens with that. But Ross has been pretty solid here at Phoenix and on short flat tracks. Actually started third, finished 19th, but that's I think he had something like a penalty of pit road or something. I can't remember what happened there, but that I think I remember that he had some kind of trouble. So, but he's been good. He's been good in this next gen car. I think he's like top three in in average running position, if I recall, on short flat tracks. So, definitely someone to consider for laps. Ty Dillon's a fade. I just think he's going backwards. He was super slow in practice, and it wasn't that he was trying stuff out. He just like was like a turtle. So I can't do that. Fade for me. Steen Smith and Todd Gillian, I think, are like two front row guys that we just like are plug and play, like value plays, like almost each week. Starting a little bit further forward than we'd like. We usually like them starting down in the 30s, but I think they're fine here. So these are definitely, if you're trying to go a three Kings lineup and trying to get three 10K guys in, you're going to have to play a couple of these guys. And I think these two make a nice offering for you. Ryan Priest, I think people are going to look down here and they're going to look at the practice speed. and they're gonna look at the 67 compared to everybody else kind of being in the 5K range, and they're not as sexy as some of the other ones that are like in the 9K range, or even some of the ones in the 7K range. And I think a lot of people are gonna like glance right over. But he's been good on short flat tracks, and I think that it's something that has really he's not in the Stuart Oscar, so I apologize for that. I don't know why it didn't change. He is in RFK. So yeah, I don't want to confuse you with that. So let me just change that quickly, and I'll try to make sure it's changed on my permanent ones. But again, like with the RFK, with the other ones, with Busher and with Kozlowski, I think that they work pretty well as a team. Like I think his qualifying wasn't great here, but I definitely think that he can get into the top 25, between 20 and 25, and that's all you really need for him to do for the finishing position, a little bit of place differential, and I think that's kind of sneaky, and I think a lot of people are going to look over him, so he is my final 100K driver here. Shea Van Gisbergen is just kind of struggling with the switch to the Cup car. It's different than Xfinity, and I just don't think he's completely grasped it yet. He's good on courses, so I have him as a GPP and not a fade. He just didn't really look kind of lost out there in practice, didn't have the speed. Trackhouse is a good program. They'll figure it out, and I'm sure that the learning curve will kind of flatten out and that he'll pick it up and he'll be fine. Again, road course racers are tend to do a little bit better on this track just with their braking skills. So I think he's in play, but not huge. Briscoe, think that at 9K, I think he's solid cash play, a lot of place differential here. I think he'll have some high ownership just based on being a Joe Gibbs car, and he didn't look too bad in practice. Suarez, I think people gravitate to also at only 7,100, one of the cheaper ones down here, and again has a lot of upside also. Bowman is where I want to go just because I saw how well he drove in the Xfinity race and gave him some extra time on the track, which is always a positive thing. There's no way he's a 32nd place car. He caught the apron or something in his qualifying lap and saved the car. Spun out like it could have been disaster. It could have like completely destroyed the car and had to go to the backup, but they didn't. So definitely wasn't the top 15 in practice speed. And I think that, these are the ones like Bowman, Suarez, Bowen, Grayson, Ty Gibbs. Are they going to put on the soft tire to start out with, or are they just going to wait to see? There's not a ton of cautions usually at this race, which is good. Um, but it's usually like single car events and things like that. You don't really see like a big crash generally. So I don't think that they're going to like just be patient, wait for attrition to move forward. I think they're going to have to try to take it into their own hands. So Bowman, my favorite of the bunch down here. Gregson, I think, is definitely in play. But I think he'll be like the lowest owned out of all of them. And then Ty Gibbs will be popular also. But Ty Gibbs just hasn't had the greatest start to the season. Like last season, and he was like knocking on the door, and we're like, wow, it's just a matter of time before he breaks through and gets his first win. Seeing a little bit of regression. I don't know if it's confidence or what it is, or that just like the speed of the game's a little bit faster up here than it was down in Xfinity, where he just came out of nowhere and dropped in and like won his first race and then just dominated and won the title. And I think it's like first full year, second year. He didn't spend much time in Xfinity. So but he definitely has a good team, good resources, and I think it's just a matter of time before things start clicking. I think he can play him as a cash play. He just kind of messed up the qualifying lap. It wasn't anything to do with he not having speed or anything like that. Cody Ware, I think he can play as a GPP. Like he's probably going to go down laps. But if you're trying to get a bunch of expensive drivers in. He's the second cheapest one, and I wouldn't play the cheapest one because like it's a BJ McLeod car. I believe like Live Fast. It's not um like a great team. Like all these cars are supposed to have the same parts and everything, but they truly don't. Um, it's just not it's like almost an oxymoron. Live Fast Motorsports because they aren't fast. Like she'll be down multiple laps. She had no speed in practice. She wasn't even close. I just can't see her staying on the lead lap. Um, and even with attrition, it's going to take a lot being multiple laps down if the car even finishes the race. So I would not take that. Cody Ware, I think you could take a shot on. And then John Hunter Nemechek, I know you guys are probably like, what the heck? Because if you watch these videos, like he was one of the ones at my table there with like he and Burton, Haley Deegan, and Joe Graff Jr. that were Drew Dollar that were just like really, really bad drivers. But I think here, he again like kind of screwed up in his qualifying lap. He looked good in practice. Had looked like he had some speed. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 car, but he's not a 36th place car. If he finishes like 20 to 25th and at 5,300, he is going to smash. He's going to be like 5, 6x, and he's going to open the door to try to help you get like all those high price drivers in. So you got a nice little core down here of safety between Smith, Gillian, and Nemechek. If you want to start there, and then you can figure out like, and if you're like doing like a 20 entry max, there's where you go. There's your floor there. There's your value. Go with a mini core of like Smith, Gillian, and Nemechek, and then you can rotate all your studs in and around in all different kind of combinations, and hopefully be able to do very well at the top of the tournament. So I got for you. If you have any questions, put in chat below. Hit me with Megaruler31 on at Twitter or X if you have any questions. If you want more information on FSIDFS, you can go straight up to the video. As I've always said, you can get into the Discord for free from our website. Just come and join. And, if there's a case of like today where I had to do a speculation video for Xfinity and you have a question on the plays after the real lineup comes out, then just, give us a shout and we'll see what we can do to help you out with that. So next week, I believe we've got all three series. We have like a nighttime Friday night Las Vegas race, and then we have like Xfinity at Vegas on Saturday and a couple races on Sunday. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great, safe weekend. Don't forget about the time change. Hopefully, it doesn't wreak too much havoc on your system. And again, appreciate you watching. These videos have done very well to start the season. So let's keep the momentum up. If they help you, please share with your friends and like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already so you know when they come out. So thanks for watching. Good luck in your contest, and I'll see you next time.